Hello, hello, hello. We're back. It is Thursday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome, everyone. This is Consciousness Conversation with Dr. Thomas and myself, Melissa, evidential medium, spiritual teacher, all that good stuff. So, how are you today?
I'm well. I'll be Dr. Thomas today. You can be Melissa. I'll be Dr. Thomas. Sound good?
Did I say that wrong?
No, you said it right. I'm just having fun here. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a little bit of everything. I am
Channeler?
a teacher, a channeler, a healer. Yeah. You name it. I've done it
Teacher,
all.
coach. Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we are. It's Thursday. We're here to talk another conscious conversation and talk about, I don't know, just different things.
Yeah, I thought we would start with like one's self-actualization, just really kind of, why it's so important to become self-aware, really become aware of who you are, how you feel, what you think about. We get so unconscious because we are programmed by our parents, by society. And it's not, nobody's out to be, it's not all bad. I mean, but at some point, you want to get to a point in your life where you're like, who am I? And what am I about? And I think that that's important because, especially for myself, I didn't realize like my role in my family, my family structure, like all of that really impacted me as a person. And it took me a long time to kind of unpack all of that to be able to kind of get to who's sitting in this seat today. Someone who tries to be self-aware, tries to be beneficial, tries to be compassionate, tries to live from a space of love, but fails on occasion. And we all do. We all have our bumps, our obstacles, our challenges. But the important part is to be aware enough to not stay in those old programs and any kind of like victimization or unworthiness or powerlessness or anything that has made you angry, that where you're holding on to anger or grief or any of those lower vibrations that aren't going to allow you to like really come into the fullness of who you came here to be.
There. And I was sharing it out, and the last part you said, who you're becoming to be.
Yeah.
We have choice in that, people. Imagine that. I'm going to go back to, I'm one of the proponents that really does not like this when we all say, what is our purpose? I've been put on this earth to do this one thing. This is my purpose. I'm living my purpose. No, you've came here with a couple plans and agendas. But what resonates with you right now is what you're doing. And that's for your now and what it is in your current agenda, your current plan. It is not for your lifelong purpose or why you are here. It is because of what you are needing in your life, wanting in your life, and what you are choosing to bring into your life. Whether it's good, bad, whatever, and no matter what it is, no matter what's happening in your life, it's all planned. It's all synchronicity. It's all what you've chosen it to be. And yes, you'd be like, I would never have chosen this for myself. But you did. And so here's where this all comes into play. I'm going to do this myself. It all comes into play because this is where you go in and you start using that discernment. And you start truly thinking with all the noise that's around you in your life, with all the things, the sounds, the bells, the whistles, the things you're going on, this, there, what truly is at the deep core? What truly is the reason and rationale for things happening? And when you're in it, trust me, when you're in it, it's very hard to see it. But when you can sit back and when you can objectively look at your own life and everything that's going on, you can begin to start peeling back some of the things that are just facades, peeling back some of the things that you don't really need there or are just there, peeling back some things you choose you want more of, And when the bad things happen, what we call bad things, when those things happen, you can also then start seeing, well, then why did it happen? And not just go back into the why it would happen, but okay, it happened. What do I need to know going forward? Even as simple as someone passing in your life, whether it's a pet, whether it's a person, it doesn't matter. What is next is where we need to start thinking of, because we always go back to the grief, why me? Why? But if we can think about that as this happened, it happened. What's next? If I want this blah blah to happen in my life, what do I need to start thinking about, changing about, doing to bring that into my life? And it starts with you first looking at yourself and understanding who you are, what is going on around you, and truly judging what is that. And I mean, when I say judging, I say in the best way possible, because it's not about judging other people and they're doing right or wrong. It's about looking at your life, and this is the tough thing for people to do. It really is, and it goes back to a lot that I've talked about in the last month. What is it in your life? What is it? Dear ones, you live in a life where you're still driven by the ego. So what does that do to you? What does that do to all of us? It puts a cloud into your discernment and into you're able to self-reflect. There's a mist around you that you can't discern between what resonates and what you want and what is there to push you in certain directions. Now, the difference is we've talked about this. The ego will push you where it feels you need to go based upon the past, based upon your shadow self, based upon certain parameters that have been set up to you, for you, by the things around you, the society, the people around you, how we are supposed to live, living in that box. The soul is setting the path in front of you and allowing you to pull yourself, to walk yourself wherever you want to go. And so what we need to do is truly look for that discernment. Look and see what seems correct, what doesn't. Now, I'm going to go back. He's going to give you a personal story. We're going to tell it. Okay. When he ever thinks it's discernment, okay, there's someone that comes to his mind. Yes, he will say it's Stacia, because she was very blunt to him many times. Use discernment, Thomas. Dr. Sassmouth, whatever she wanted to call him. And there was one point where he now knows, we now know, and he having this conversation, the light bulbs are going off in his head. Discernment. He felt in his gut that the person he was with, what he was doing, was not right. He knew it. But the ego was like, well, there is this and this and this and this. It all makes sense to us. But the soul, the resonation, it was all like, no, there is something wrong here. No, don't do this. But he wasn't listening to that. He took away the discernment and just went with what the ego was saying. Went to what the norm, this is a known, I can go back to the known. And then what happened? What happened is eventually it became amazing. But what happened during that time destroyed him. Knocked him down in ways you cannot imagine. Now he was strong enough. The difference was he was strong enough in love, in the way he was living and learning, that the knockdown didn't destroy him and knock him out completely, but instead allowed him to grow. That's a unique little asterisk with that. But the discernment was there. It was obvious. His best friend was telling him, time out. In fact, she had to completely cut him off because the discernment was so strong and he was missing it. because we get clouded by the other things, the things we are told exist, the things they were supposed to be, the things we know, and we forget about trusting ourselves, about listening to ourselves, about truly going down into ourselves and saying, does this truly resonate with me? Is this the path I want to be on, deep down for my highest and greatest good? And there you will find, sometimes, in fact, many times, that path is not the easy one, because it doesn't give you all the roses and candy and flour and money all up front. It gives it to you in a much better way, in a much more abundant way, down the path. When you are ready, when you understand it, when you appreciate it. But we all want that quick answer. That, oh, it is right there. And that is what they do. That is what this other side of ourselves does. The ego does. It says, oh, look, here's the quick win. You go for it. Look at this. Look, the money is right there. Everything you want is right there. Look at it. And then you get there and you realize, oh, well, it's not as much as you wanted. And it's not really the right person. And, the house is not the same. And there's this and this and this. But you got what you wanted. And you're like, oh, woohoo. But it's because you didn't go down first. You didn't use discernment. You just jumped in and listened to what you knew and what the ego was telling you.
We get so attached to what we want. We get so attached to what we think it should look like or what it should be. We get so attached to societal expectations or roles, and that's where we get hung up. And if you can get into non-attachment and really allow yourself to just flow, and this was hard for me, like to put up boundaries with people, or to not be attached to, this is supposed to look this way. I'm supposed to be in this house. I'm supposed to be in this car. I'm supposed to be in this job. I'm supposed to be in this role, right? And what happens is we limit ourselves, and we also put ourselves in situations that ultimately aren't going to be for our highest and greatest good. So we're gonna have to have that fall, right? So yeah, if you can get into the non-attachment of, okay, I'm being presented something. It's not what I thought. It's not how I thought it would look, but this is what's being presented to me. And I have to trust, right? I have to trust that this is where I am. And that's what, I feel like you, in that story, in that example, I feel like you really modeled that really well. Like, you ended up losing for a minute, right? Because you had to learn the lesson. You had to kind of discern what was right or what was wrong, and come back to center your own intuition, whatever kind of allowed you to grow.
I see a station just jumped on. Don't tell her I said she was right earlier. So don't tell her that I told her, I used her in the story and she was right, but it's okay. Yeah, and we're not here to be the experts, meaning we, as our human lives and our bodies, we are not the experts of our own life. We are here. We are here out of free choice, and if we had one simple reason, it's to learn how to love. End of discussion. I'm sorry, that's a purpose. Learn, love, grow, and love. But we have here then, with such a complex system all around us, with that free choice, and we don't have to do anything. And it's not easy, because the human brain is not easy. If it was easy, we'd all come here with all this great, well, we do come as babies, all this great love, but we would grow and continue all that love. But we have discernment, and we have the ego, we have the shadow stuff, we have all these things in society that are just building upon us. And so the biggest challenge we have, and this is what is, so I'm using myself as an example again. I mean, people know I've been dating sites and meet people, all that stuff. The biggest thing is when I share my stories, and when I learn things. I mean, when I learned the story, I think we talked about a few weeks ago. I don't know if it was just me and you. I shared about the passion. When I share that story, and the crucifixion. My goodness, when I heard it for the first time, nothing resonated more with me my whole life. And so it wasn't me reciting a story and saying, "Oh, this sounds nice." It was really truly me using my discernment as I was reading this novella. It was me using my discernment as it went along, and I'm like, "Oh my effing goodness, yes!" And it was not this; it was this screaming to me, "This is so right! This is so right!" The tears were coming down, and when I heard other things and I listened to other talks by certain people, and I shut off the ego and I listened. I'm like, does this make sense to me? And I tell you what, when it doesn't, I typically switch over. And I'm like, I'm not going to hear the rest of it. If this message this person is talking is not going to resonate with me at this point, I'm not going to continue. But when I hear it, I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, yes. It all comes from here. Where if I kept the ego on, starting with that novella, if I kept the ego on with the story of the crucifixion, oh my goodness, I would have ripped it apart, said, there's no way this is true. And at the same point, I had to build up to it. You don't just go in and say, oh my goodness, now you can use your discernment on things. When Stacia was telling me, use discernment, Thomas, Dr. Sassmouth here, use discernment, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know what I was doing with it. I didn't know how to judge what was going on in my own life in a way to truly sit back and see what is the most resonating, what is standing out as my truth, what is real. Because a lot of times we have been fed information for the past, however old we are. For me, for the past 43 years, I've been fed certain information, certain things that have to be true. But if we're told, the best example I can give you is we're told humanity is 5,000 years old, yet there's carbon dating and remains of human bodies that are over 10,000 years old. What is real? What isn't real? And then you go into even climate change and how that works, and that we say the carbon gases go up, then the climate change. Well, no, the climate goes up, and then the carbon gases go up. Which one is really right? There's a lot out there. I'm not going to say what it isn't. In fact, I'm probably going to do a whole month to talk about different topics. I mean, even think and just use your own discernment with this again. The Bible. Great messages. Words come down, not disputing that. But do we really think that God or whatever you want to say stopped talking to us 2,023 years ago? I mean, you go 3,000 plus years of all these messages and stories coming, and all of a sudden, no more? Okay, so what is missing? What has not been done? How has it changed? Do we really think from 6 AD or 6,000 AD or even from 1776 the earth has not changed? But yet when we view things and we go back to our own life, we as humans are born to be hypocritical. Because think about this. We see changes in some areas, but we say, well, this has to change, but this can never change. But it's your whole life is always changing as you grow. And so everything changes as you grow. How can you then change and look at your own discernment and realize, even if something was right, this has gone through my own journey. This has happened so many times where I've, even in the start, I had, this is what's real. This is what I need to do. Then all of a sudden, one new thing comes up. I'm like, oh, shit. No, this is it. Then another thing is, I'm like, and then all of a sudden I start putting the pieces together. I'm like, yes, this was here. Now let me hear it. And you go as your journey, and you will change perspectives as you learn more. You'll get more out of it as you go more. You'll be able to put more pieces together. But you always must go back to you within yourself, to what resonates with you. Because what resonates with Melissa is not going to be seen that resonates with me. Not going to be seen what resonates with Jacqueline, with Cheryl, with anyone else. I'm saying, like with Elizabeth, with all the people that are watching and all different places. What we say is not always going to be the same for everyone else, because we have different resonations, we have different agendas, we have different places where we're at. And so if I say this is how I believe it is, it doesn't matter if you disagree or not. It's what is your truth for where you are in your station in life, what you need to know for what's going to help you get to the next thing. I told you some of these stories and you just had to believe it on face value, and it took you 3 steps above where you're supposed to be. That's happened to me. It takes you 3 steps above where you're supposed to be or where you are. You're not hanging on tightly to that ladder. You are loosely just staying around because you were just given something. You need to actually learn it and grow and develop in yourself. That once again goes back to going within what resonates and then taking your knowledge and growing with that. But it really starts with yourself.
Yeah, and you have to know yourself. You have to know, you really have to figure out what's ego and what's not. You have to figure out how you feel and why you feel that way and what to keep and what not to keep, where to forgive, where to discern. This is a process. And I think that we can get very caught up and overwhelmed if we're not careful and take it one step at a time. But I think that the big thing that for me has been really helpful is to not get up and caught up in the attachment of it has to be a certain way. Because you're right. What works for you may not work for me at all. And what works for me may work for other people or not at all. So really being okay with what works for you, really being okay with where you are and who you are, and again, that goes back to like really not allowing yourself to get, put into a role or stuck in a, bad situation. Like it's okay to make changes. It's okay to make choices and decisions. And you had mentioned that earlier when you were talking about your first example in making choices, right? And it's okay to make a new choice. It's okay to start over. I can't tell you guys how many times I've had to start over from the bottom because I wasn't in the right place and I had things I had to learn, and I was only going to learn it if certain things were completely removed out of my life. Because if I'd stayed where I wasn't going to learn the lesson. And so sometimes we get so caught up, I know I did, in that like I keep having to restart, I keep losing everything, and like I wasn't figuring out that I was the common denominator who kept making the choices and decisions that were putting myself in the path of the pattern, that the cycle that I kept putting myself in, that kept putting me in this negative deficit, right? So sometimes we have to step back and we have to look at, what are my choices? What am I choosing? Do I
So,
keep choosing the same thing?
so did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Are you?
No, just like a couple people, like Cynthia, said, learning about all those things is rough when you're 70. But I
Mm,
believe, and it is possible to learn about all about yourself. And Cheryl said the same thing. I've gone 67 years not understanding. So let me, you two have to put this out there. And I just wanted, because they're on here, you don't see them, but I see, Lorraine, Elizabeth, Cynthia, you're all there. Thank you for being part of this. We can't think linear again. We all think in these numbers of ones and simplicity with everything that's going on. It's not that way. We live in a, I love it. She goes, where do I go from here? All right, Cheryl. Cheryl just goes, this is where I was going with, where do I go from here? You are not living right now, especially as you get older in your life. And we had a friend that some of them will remember that passed away maybe some months ago, last year. Now, she had gone through a lot in her life. And it wasn't until about a year ago that she really started, oh my goodness, opening up to all this. Now, people must realize, I'm going to talk, not you, all right? People must realize we're not here in one life and done. We reincarnate. 80% of us plus believe that. There is physical evidence and proof that reincarnation happens and we come back in multiple times. That is there. It's been evident. We just don't, it's not something you can scientifically see, so people don't think about it. But it's there. And I say this for a reason, because what you're doing in this life opens you up to how you're going to begin in the next life. And so this example of this person she was a wonderful soul. And she laid in life, after going through a lot, had a lot of illnesses and all that things, she had finally realized a lot of this information and started changing her life for the better. But ultimately, her soul and all knew that in order for her and her choice to truly move on and continue on the journey in this love and this light, her current physical body couldn't sustain it. And so and when it happened, Station and I had this conversation. When it happened, it was like she was ready to grow and learn, but she couldn't as this body. She needed a new body, and so that was her own soul saying, "Okay, we are happy. We know what we're going to do next life. We know what's going to happen. We know how we're going to start this off. We are going to take this knowledge because you can. That's the key. When we switched over to the new energy, you can take the knowledge even more so and come back with it."
No, that's what's beautiful about where we are right now. And I'm loving that this new earth is giving this ability. I know quite a few months ago, Cryan brought this out that, the karma really had changed, and that now we are going to be able to come in with, this new understanding,
Right.
and really kind of just continuing on. So it's exciting. It's exciting. But yes, ladies, you're going to continue on. Your soul is going to continue on. And so
if you're 67,
age means nothing. It means nothing.
We can live to be 100 something, or we can decide tomorrow that we want to restart. And when we come back in, all children born now are already being born with a higher consciousness. As we go through,
oh my gosh, it's so evident.
The next shift, it's going to be even stronger. And I don't know why I'm hearing 2030. Like those that come in 2030, I'm not hearing, but that's what I feel. That like 87 was the first one where everyone after 87 was, you're already up. 30 is going to bring it, same thing. It's going to boost it up even more. And so we're boosting it up and we're going stronger. So it's a continuous journey. So never, ever, ever, ever think it's too late. Never think that I can never learn and go around. I mean, I just started this 3 years ago. Now I'm 43, so I'm a little different than some other people, and I'm also an asterisk. Don't try to copy me. Trust me.
No. Well, I got 10 years on you. Don't try to copy me either, right. People.
What we've done, how some of us have gone like this, there's like I said, we all don't come in with purposes. Some of us are cuckoo and they have a purpose that is different. But because we sign up for an agenda, sign up to do something very specific. But at the end of the day, you are where you're at because you've chosen to be there at this moment and at this time, and everything you learn and grow is at your pace. Patience. We hate that word. I'm going to repeat, and I can't remember the philosopher that says it, but we say it in the One Abundance group we go to. Infinite patience brings immediate results. All this comes down to understanding yourself and having the discernment about what's going on around you, within you, and then comes back to you need to have that patience for yourself. And Ellie, I forgot to say hi to you. Hi, Ellie. Cynthia, you feel now younger now than you were at age 50. I know. Isn't that great how it works? Because so I met a friend the other day and we laughed. They look so young. I'm like, I can tell if you look young, I can tell you are a positive person and a happy person. Because scientifically, those that are positive and happy, their chromosomes and DNA expand and they live longer lives because that positive energy keeps you youthful. So I say that, I'm like, you look young. I can tell what type of person you are because of just how you look. Don't have to talk to you. And I know if your age is this and you look like that you are a positive, optimistic, happy person most of the time.
I love it. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So yes, ladies,
Yeah.
You got this. You got this.
Ellie, you said here, I believe that we need to be kind to ourselves in order to find the joy in our lives. Yes.
Compassion for yourself, compassion for others. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I actually just finished reading Living Untethered by Michael Singer. And in one of the later chapters, I mean, the quote that I'll give you is, we're living a life of surrender. And so if you surrender to where you are, you surrender to taking the steps that you're being guided to take, like you're going to find joy. You're going to have fulfillment. You're going to be able to, really embrace your purpose and bring it forth, especially for those of you who are like, I don't know what it is. That's it. living a life of surrender and being in joy. That's the purpose. That's the purpose that we're here to do. But we get so bogged down in the programming. We get so bogged down in the attachments. We get so bogged down in the lower vibrational frequencies of all that junk, that stuff, right? This is your purpose. If you're watching us, this is your purpose, to live in a higher state of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love it how the multiple people here wrote, I'm 53 and I feel at more peace than I was at 18. It.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm 53. I'm enjoying 53.
Right.
I really am. I really
Right.
am. Like, I don't feel it. I mean, I got some, aches and pains here and there, but for the most part, I don't feel it. But no, she's right. When you get to a certain age, or even if you're just on this path, you get to a certain point where there's just so much that just, it's behind you. It fritters away, and it's all that heavy stuff. It's all the density, because you're really learning how to work through whatever you're carrying, and then to not carry anymore. I mean, and it's a process, guys. It's a process. If you watched my daily guidance this morning, I'm going through, something that is grief, and it's a process. But we all have the choice, right? Back to discernment. We all have the choice about what we carry, what we attach to, and understanding, that every moment, living presently in every moment, you get to decide, what is that moment going to look like?
Mm-hmm. And Cheryl, live and let live, or live and let die? No, just live. Period. Just live. And we get so caught up with not living, and we judge other people for not living. Going back to judging, we don't want to judge others. We just live our lives the way we feel it resonates with us. And some people are going to live it differently. Others are going to live it a different way. And guess what? It is okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're okay. And we're okay. And we're all on different journeys. We're all here with exactly different agendas for how we're going to live our life and become these amazing people that we truly are, because we are all amazing. We're all made in this love. There's so many different things we can talk about and go through, but think about what resonates with you. It goes back. We talk about this a lot. When you go in, what resonates with you? And then you have the choice. You do. I go back to my story. I made a choice that didn't resonate with me because it resonated with my ego and all this stuff. Now, have you read Untethered Soul by Michael Singer?
I've not.
See, that's the only book I read from him. That was the first one. But that one gave me a lot of the soul ego dynamics.
Well, this was a great, I'm going to be honest with you. So I read it because I kept being brought to him on YouTube, and I was like, okay, there's got to be something here. So I read this. So this is a really great, like, I don't want to say beginner book, but this really made me feel like it really very easily broke down a lot of the very difficult concepts in A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I almost wish I'd read that first, because I did get through A New Earth, living your life purpose, but boy, was it was challenging. So, So if you're in my community, I actually am posting presently a book review. I'm going to start doing book reviews in my community for books that I have read that have helped me, for those of you who are searching for support. That will be a free video. So if you've not gone to my community at subkit.com/guidance311, you can go there. That will be a free video to look at, to kind of check out what I'm doing in my community and how we're all supporting each other. And that's what this is all about. So thank you. We've done it again, yet again, another week down.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll go on next week, right, on Thursday?
Yeah.
Because the holidays, it starts Thursday night, Friday, whatever. But we'll be on Thursday.
What holiday? What holiday?
Easter.
Oh. Already?
Easter is next week. My kids have off all next week. I'm like, whoa.
Oh.
But we will have a good talk next week.
Yes.
To all of you, light and love, and there is this. Be your highest and best self at all times and live life. Just live. Live.
All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week.